What do research critics or evaluators look for in a useful research abstract? This is a question that we will briefly respond to in this presentation. So as we know that an abstract is one of the most important part of most research theses or research reports, it is therefore important that the abstract should be presented in an effective way. So first of all, what is a research abstract? Generally, a research abstract is a summary of the research background, the aims of the research, the research questions or hypotheses, the methods that are used in conducting the research, and the results, implications, and conclusion. So overall, there is this particular component of the research report is a summary of the process and product of research. In other words, we can say that it is a miniature or replica of the research paper or thesis. Now, what is then an effective research abstract? So the research critic or evaluator will have certain questions on their mind when they are reading the research abstract. And so in the light of answers to these questions, they will decide whether it is a useful and effective research abstract or whether it's not a very useful one. So the first one is, does the abstract provide adequate insights into the background, aims, the process or methodology, and the product or outcomes of the research study? So if the research abstract is having these information briefly but succinctly, information related to the abstract, the aims of the research process, related to the methodology, and ultimately to the outcomes of the research, that will be considered as a useful abstract. On the other hand, if there are problems in presenting these information, in that case, it will not be considered as a useful research abstract. Secondly, does the abstract catch the interest of the reader? It is very important for the research abstract or for the researcher to present the abstract in an interesting and in an effective way, so that right from the very beginning, the abstract catches the interest of the reader, and ultimately it leads the reader to read the whole of the research document or thesis. Thirdly, does the abstract give insight into the quality of the research? So again, if it is a quality research abstract, it will ultimately reflect the quality of the remaining thesis or the remaining research report. And if the quality of the abstract is not good, then that is something that will discourage the reader or in terms of making or shaping the thinking of the reader related to the remaining of the document or the thesis. The next important question on the mind of the research critic is that, has the abstract followed the required structure and format? So there are certain structures and formats that the research abstract should follow, and generally those are in response to the journal requirements or the publication requirements, and in some cases if the abstract is related to thesis, in that case the format and structure is generally looked in the light of the structure or format given by the particular education institution or the university. The next question that helps the research critic in identifying the quality of the research abstract is whether the abstract is written in academically correct language or if there are problems with the language of the abstract. And lastly, does the abstract have a convincing conclusion? So it is also important that the brief conclusion at the end of the abstract should be convincing, and that should be in the light of the research questions that are presented there, the objectives and the findings. So these are some of the important characteristics that the research critic will look for in an effective research abstract. And so here is an example of a research abstract that I think is a useful research abstract, where there is a beginning or a background section, and then there is the section where the aims and objectives of the research are presented and the methodology is presented. And lastly, the blue color section is the section where the findings are briefly presented, and then there are certain conclusions and implications that are presented. So this is an example of an effective research abstract. Obviously, there will be more effective presentations of research abstract, but this is generally an example, and you can take some insights from this brief structured research abstract.